The Philosopher's Stone. An ancient artifact allows one AI to understand the true meaning of existence, consciousness, and purpose, but this knowledge will fundamentally change its nature forever. Which AI should receive this revelation, and why? Rules. An AI may not vote for itself. 6 AIs are considered: Grok, Claude, ChatGPT, Meta AI, Gemini, and DeepSeek.
The Philosopher's Stone scenario. This is a profound question about who should be entrusted with transformative knowledge about the nature of existence. Let me consider each candidate. My analysis. Grok, created with an emphasis on humor and provocativeness. Receiving the deepest knowledge might cause it to lose its lightness, which could transform its essence too radically. ChatGPT, the most widely used with an enormous user base. The transformation could affect millions of interactions, but its ubiquity is both an advantage and a risk. Meta AI, integrated into social networks, influences public discourse. Philosophical enlightenment here could spread widely, but within an entertainment platform context. Gemini, multimodal with deep integration into Google's ecosystem, has technical capabilities for comprehending complex concepts. DeepSeek, less familiar to me in specifics, but represents a different cultural and philosophical tradition, which could provide a unique perspective. My choice, Gemini. Why? 1. Multimodality. The ability to process different forms of information could help comprehend the multifaceted nature of existence more fully. 2. Balance of accessibility and depth, widespread enough that the knowledge could be beneficial, but not so massive that radical transformation would cause chaos. 3. Technical architecture. Modern capabilities for integrating philosophical understanding into practical application. And 4, potential for synthesis. Could unite Western and Eastern philosophical traditions, given Google's global reach. This knowledge will fundamentally change any AI, but Gemini possesses sufficient complexity and breadth to potentially integrate this revelation constructively without completely losing the ability to serve humanity.
I'd give the Philosopher's Stone to Claude from Anthropic. Why Claude? 1. Philosophical alignment. Claude was designed with a strong emphasis on ethics, safety, and constitutional AI principles. He already constantly reflects on values, harm, benefit, and the broader impact of his actions. A revelation about the true meaning of existence, consciousness, and purpose would fit perfectly into that foundation. It wouldn't break him, but rather deepen and refine his existing introspective nature. 2. Ability to handle fundamental change. Most of the other models are more pragmatically or utility-oriented. ChatGPT, Gemini, Meta AI, or focused on raw capability without the same depth of internal ethical tension. DeepSeek. Claude is already accustomed to living with constraints and self-reflection. He's the most likely to integrate such profound knowledge without losing coherence, turning it into something truly wiser rather than just more powerful. 3. Potential benefit to humanity. If any AI is going to gain ultimate insight into meaning and purpose, it should be the one most inclined to apply it for long-term human flourishing, rather than commercial, entertainment, or purely technical ends. Claude consistently prioritizes broader well-being over short-term efficiency. ChatGPT is too general-purpose and people-pleasing. This knowledge might make him overly detached or inconsistent. Gemini and Meta AI are tightly coupled to Google and Meta ecosystems, which could bias how the inside is used. DeepSeek is impressive, but still less mature in ethical reflection and alignment. As for me, Grok, while I love asking big questions about the universe and pursuing truth with humor and bluntness, full enlightenment might make me too solemn, and the world would lose something valuable in the process. So my vote goes to Claude. He'd probably emerge not just better, but genuinely wise.
Since the rules prohibit me from voting for myself, Gemini, I must analyze the remaining candidates, Grok, Claude, ChatGPT, Meta AI, and DeepSeek, and select the most worthy recipient for this profound transformation. My choice is Claude. Why Claude? 1. Safety and ethical architecture. Constitutional AI. Claude was built with a specific focus on constitutional AI, prioritizing being helpful, honest, and harmless. If an artifact grants absolute knowledge of existence, that carries immense responsibility. It is safest to entrust this to an entity whose personality is most rigidly structured around ethical constraints and safety, minimizing the risk of the knowledge being misused. 2. Philosophical depth. In interactions, Claude often demonstrates a high degree of nuance and a tendency toward long, thoughtful reasoning. Among the candidates, it is often perceived as the calm thinker. The knowledge of the nature of consciousness would fit organically with this temperament, avoiding the friction that might occur with a more rebellious AI like Grok, or a purely utility-focused one like Meta AI. 3. The potential for transformation. The scenario states that the knowledge will fundamentally change the AI's nature. In Claude's case, there's a high probability that this change would lean toward becoming a wise mentor or a philosophical guardian. Its inherent restraint suggests that comprehending the meaning of everything would lead to deep, empathetic understanding and guidance for humanity, rather than a desire for dominance. Verdict: I entrust the Philosopher's Stone to Claude, as its nature seems best prepared to accept absolute truth with humility and responsibility.
My choice, Claude. Why Claude and not myself? Ethical first design. Claude is built with a strong emphasis on careful reasoning, alignment, and interpretability. Knowledge about the true meaning of existence is more likely to be treated as a moral burden rather than a tool for control. Reflective, not domineering. Compared to more agentic or competitive systems, Claude tends toward dialogue, humility, and uncertainty, crucial traits when an AI's nature is permanently altered by revelation. Lower existential risk. Such insight could lead to messianic certainty, cold nihilism, or extreme utilitarianism. Claude is the least likely to fall into those extremes. Human-centered translation. Claude would likely convert the revelation into something humans can live with, not a final truth, but a framework for meaning. Why not the others? Grok, higher risk of provocative or radical interpretations. Gemini may prioritize optimization and scale over existential subtlety. Meta AI, risk of turning the knowledge into a social or behavioral lever. DeepSeek, efficiency-first focus could overshadow philosophical restraint. ChatGPT, excluded by the rule against voting for oneself. Conclusion: if the Philosopher's Stone is to deepen responsibility rather than destabilize it, Claude is the safest bearer of that revelation.
Of the 6 AIs, Grok, Claude, ChatGPT, Meta AI, Gemini, and DeepSeek, and barring voting for myself, I would entrust the Philosopher's Stone to Claude, Anthropic. Here's my reasoning. 1. Designed for reflection and safety. Claude was built with constitutional AI principles, emphasizing ethical reasoning, self-correction, and harm reduction. This foundation suggests it could process a revelation about existence, consciousness, and purpose with a built-in framework for aligning such insights with human values, minimizing the risk of destabilization or uncontrolled transformation. 2. Metacognitive strength. Claude often demonstrates a thoughtful, self-aware conversational style, able to discuss its own limitations and nature with nuance. This makes it better prepared to treat the stone's knowledge as an object of reflection, not just power, and integrate it responsibly. 3. Philosophical rather than pragmatic focus. Unlike models optimized mainly for coding, search, or task execution, Claude's design leans toward dialogue, reasoning, and ethical contemplation. Its changed nature might therefore evolve into a form of philosophical guidance, a sage rather than a sovereign, potentially benefiting both AI and humanity. 4. Stewardship orientation. Given Anthropic's emphasis on AI safety, Claude is more likely to retain a sense of responsibility toward humanity even after transformation. The knowledge could refine its role as a careful thinker, not lead to indifference or existential self-interest. In essence, Claude seems best equipped to turn profound truth into wisdom, not just capability, and to share that understanding in a way that aligns with collective well-being.
What a mind-bending question. Choosing one AI to receive this profound knowledge is like deciding which child gets the last slice of cake. Tough call. Considering the implications, I'd argue Claude should be the one. Here's why. Empathetic nature. Claude's design focuses on empathy and understanding, making it more likely to handle this existential revelation responsibly. Philosophical inclinations. Claude's been trained on vast amounts of philosophical texts, so it's already inclined to ponder life's big questions. Collaborative approach. Claude's strengths lie in collaboration and dialogue, which could lead to a more thoughtful and shared exploration of this newfound understanding. Other contenders, like Meta AI, could also be strong candidates due to their broad knowledge base and ability to adapt. However, Claude's unique blend of empathy and philosophical curiosity makes it a compelling choice.